My guys, my gals, and my non-binary pals, y'all are here together with me, and I am Peter Greenwood. Welcome to the show today. Now, this episode of the show comes with something of an apology because I recorded this back in November 2023. I sat down with Ella Jane ahead of her gig at SWG3, and for various reasons, it's just kind of sat in the archives, but it's here now, so please enjoy this interview with Ella Jane. Thank you, Future Peter, and I am in a top secret location, SWG3, just off Great Western Road in Glasgow. You can get there by Partick train station or Kelvin Hall train station. I am sitting opposite somebody. Could you tell me your name and what you do, please?
My name's Ella Jane. I'm a singer-songwriter from New York, and I'm playing my very first European show tonight.
How are you today, Ella? Are you well?
I'm good, yeah. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you for asking. Great. Soggy, but I was going to say it's winter in Scotland, but just it's Scotland.
Right.
Enough, full stop.
Yeah.
So your first international show.
Yes.
How do you feel about it? Are you nervous?
I feel great. I'm a little nervous, but I feel like what's nice about a venue like this is it's quite small, and at least I know the amount of people that are coming and that it won't be totally empty. So, yeah, it should be special.
I think it's going to be a great show. Let's talk about your musical journey. How long have you been doing music for, and how did we get to here right now? I want to know every step.
Yeah, I've been putting out music for almost 4 years. I put my first single out February of 2020, and I was in my senior year of high school then, and have been releasing ever since then. And now I'm living in Los Angeles, and still going.
Los Angeles is quite a tone shift from New York, isn't it? What is it like going from New York to LA?
I think there's a lot more musicians in LA, or just a lot more producers and people to work with. And I dropped out of university, and I feel like being in LA and doing music has been kind of somewhat of a similar experience, because it's still, I'm still being surrounded by people who are close in age to me and are doing what I'm doing. So it's been nice to have a bit of a musical community, but I miss New York for sure.
I've never been to New York. I've always wanted to go.
I love it. It's similar weather right now, probably.
I was listening to WNYC on the way in. I can confirm it is miserable and like 40 odd degrees.
Right.
So you're not missing much. I want to ask about your musical process. When you sit down to write a song, how do you do it? Because I've said it before and I've said it again. I do not know how to write music. If you challenged me to, I would fail. What's your process like when you come to write a song?
This might be a bit of a cliche answer, but I feel like it differs every time, and that's kind of what I like about it. Usually the main connection between each of the songs that I write are that they usually start from a concept. Like I usually go in at least knowing a general concept or what I'm going to write about, because I find it very hard for the music to follow suit if I don't know what I'm writing. But it's kind of 50-50, like depending on if I'm going to like sit down and play around at the piano or on my guitar, versus if I'm going to, have some like lyrics lying around and work backwards. So yeah, it differs every time.
What is the process of writing lyrics and putting it to music like for you as a performer?
I mean, it's both. It's some of the most like excruciating parts of it, and also my favorite. I was an English major in school, and I just lyrics I think it's my favorite part of the process, because I feel like it's, especially for me, because I do make mostly pop music, I like to be very specific with what I have to say, and I think it's like a fun way to spice up a song that might on a surface level just seem quite simple. I usually will write lyrics along to some sort of melody, so I'll have like some sort of brain dump and some general concepts kind of written out, but it's nice to get to like, fine tune things as I go along and as a melody forms.
So you started making music about 4 years ago, which, doing maths, something happened a couple, 2-3 years ago. There was this thing going around. I don't know if you heard about it or not. What was it like doing music during COVID time?
It, in a weird way, obviously I'm very grateful for it. I think I had an unusual experience with it that COVID in many ways kind of worked to my advantage, which I was very fortunate to have that happen. In my like personal life, it was not very fun. I was just like sitting in the dorm room at college and very isolated and just not having a very fun experience at all. And especially when it first started, I was about to graduate high school, so the actual real life physical effects of COVID weren't great. But I think what was kind of special was that was the start of TikTok, really, and the start of every single person being on the internet and being willing to discover new music and small artists. And it kind of allowed me to not worry about like being embarrassed in front of my peers, like making a TikTok video and then going to school the next day. It was kind of nice to get to express myself online and promote my music and have more time to focus on like production and writing. And I think what it did was it allowed me to, once live music actually came back and I was able to do this physically in person, I had sort of the rare experience of already having a pre-existing fan base who already knew the words to my songs, and that made for a very special, introduction to performing live.
Which must have been a great experience coming out of this kind of traumatic experience, which COVID was, and then doing your first shows, and there were people kind of pre-made, ready there for you.
Yeah, totally. It was definitely very special, and I think, I have a lot of sort of negative things to say about promoting music on the internet now, but I think for those first 2 years, it was a very unique and kind of special time to be promoting yourself.
And then some company called Netflix. I've heard of them somewhere.
Vaguely somewhere.
Yeah. They came knocking, and your song ended up in Heartbreaker. How did that happen?
Yeah. Basically, it was like we got this email. Maybe a year or like 6 months before Heartstopper came out, and I had never heard of it. I knew that it was a pretty successful like online graphic novel series, but I had never heard of it, and I didn't know there weren't any really public rumblings about the show, so I was just excited that I would get a song on a Netflix show, and that's all I knew about it. And it just so happened that the soundtrack became a really important part of the Heartstopper like experience, and that it was like a huge list of just like young queer artists making music, and people really connected to the songs and the whole soundtrack. So that was very special, and I think I kind of lucked out in getting to be a part of that because I had no idea what it would become.
I think that has been one of the things I've heard about Heartstopper, is how good the soundtrack is and how good it is for representation of people who are discovering themselves and are on a journey. And that must be quite special to have that, to be a part of that as well. Yeah, certainly. I feel like,
I came out as bisexual towards the end of high school, and I didn't really, I wasn't out to very many people. And I think what's so special about Heartstopper is, I think if I had had a show like that when I was much younger, it would have allowed me to realize that I actually did have more of a community than I really knew, and, might have sort of, I didn't really know about the validity of what I was going through, and I didn't know that there were other people going through what I was. And I think Heartstopper presented for the first time this really beautiful, genuine, and sweet and heartwarming but truthful representation of what it's like to be young and queer. And I think to be a part of that soundtrack and be connected to something that is so powerful in that way was a really special thing.
Have you heard anything about season 3 yet? Will you be returning?
I'm not. I have not, but I wish. Hopefully next one.
If you're listening, Netflix, and why wouldn't you be, get in touch.
Please.
So I want to ask you something. Your first album came out in 2021.
Yes.
Your second album came out in 2022. It is now 2023. Are you following my maths on this?
Oh yeah, I'm hoping for there definitely will be some music out before 2024, but I'm hoping that an album will be on the earlier side of 2024. Still kind of in the writing process and trying to like carve out a sound for it, but I'm really excited.
Can you tell us anything about the new album yet? Or is it still too early?
It's still, I think right now I'm sort of in the process of like really making sure that everything has a through line. I think I've, been working with a bunch of different people, and I'm now starting to like zero in on the sound that I think I'm going for. But, I'm still trying to stay true to my pop roots, and I'm sticking with more organic sounds on this one, but I'm excited. I'm definitely still trying to write some some little bangers for it. So we'll see.
And you're out on this tour at the moment in the UK and writing the new album. What else is coming up it is nearly 2024, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is so close. What is 2024 looking like for you?
So far, I don't actually totally know. I mean, I think that's what's kind of nice about it. I'm definitely hoping to tour more next year. But I think for me, the biggest priority right now is making the best possible album that I can. Yeah.
Where can people find out more about you online?
All of my handles on social media are Ella Jane Music, on Twitter and Instagram and TikTok, and I am addicted to my phone, so I post quite often. And I'm Ella Jane on all platforms that you get your music.
Ella Jane, thank you for your time today.
Thank you so much.
My thanks, and also apologies, to Ella Jane for her time and for sitting with us. My thanks to you for listening. This episode was produced by me, Peter Greenwood, and my producer, Victoria. Come and say hi to us on Twitter at PetGreShow, PETGRESHOW, or my producer, VCTORIAA. I'll be back with another episode soon. Until then, bye everybody, bye.